most villages ranging from northeast, northwest, southeast, south-south, southwest, you will find these herdsmen attacking the villagers.
House of Representatives urges federal government to intensify sub-regional cooperation to address insecurity as Chief of Army Staff gives situation report on renewed onslaught.
The Nigerian engineers that have so far been shortchanged would now have the opportunity to move ahead and technologically advance the country.
Commitment to economic diversification intensifies. Local content enforcement expands to NDAs. Plus, Central Bank steps in to salvage cotton value chain. More than 2,000 cotton farmers in the FCT benefit from maiden intervention. Good evening and welcome to the News at 9 on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ian Ray John. Tonight, I'm not reading alone. I have Jennifer Igwe in Lagos and Mariam Adura in Jos. Bordering on security concerns, the House of Representatives is urging the federal government to collaborate with countries in the ECOWAS sub-region to put a stop to illegal movement of herdsmen from other African countries into Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
In adopting the motion from the minority leader Ndudi Lumelu, House members expressed concern that violent conflicts between nomadic herders from neighboring countries and local farmers is escalating.
When you go to most villages ranging from northeast, northwest, southeast, south-south, southwest, you will find these herdsmen attacking the villagers.
Plenary also adopted a motion on the need to open up roads in communities suffering Boko Haram attacks as moved by Representative Haruna Mishelia, and a motion from Representative Chinedu Benjamin calling for investigation into the abandoned Otuacha to Alegu Road in Enugu State. Also to be investigated is the inability of the Nigeria Police Pension Limited to meet its monthly obligations. The House has, in response to a motion from Representative Ahmed Jaha Babau, commended Abakari for outstanding performance in fighting organized crime and resolved to invite him to plenary to be so recognized.
The gallant officer and his team recorded several successes in combating organized crime in Nigeria, which include arrest of the most notorious kidnapper known as Evans in Lagos.
I must confess, when I started hearing and reading about his achievements and successes, I felt he was a man worthy of commendation.
Tuesday's plenary featured second reading of a bill seeking to amend Price Control Act sponsored by Representative Taiwo Luga. There was a symbolic show of solidarity against rape by House members as they dressed in black. The House has gone a step further in its resolve to improve service delivery in the power sector as the Speaker inaugurated an ad hoc committee to review and recommend legislative reforms.
Our nation has long struggled with the problem of fixing the power sector in Nigeria and getting it to work in the optimal interest of all our people.
The ad hoc committee on power reform is chaired by the House leader.
The growth and progress of Nigerian electricity supply industry depends on fostering sufficient legislative intervention that will enable the entrenchment of a perfect environment in the power and the electricity supply subsector.
The House believes that such interventions are necessary to grow the economy. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, has received comprehensive operational account of ongoing renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram terrorist group from the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Chukwu Buratai. A statement by the Special Assistant Medium Publicity to the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abdul Qadri, indicates that the meeting held behind closed doors is believed to have highlighted successes recorded in the recent aggressive posture of the military under the close supervision of the Army Chief, who has been in the theatre of operation in the northeast for the past 2 months. The Special Assistant notes that the breakthrough in the counter-insurgency operation includes the elimination of over 1,429 Boko Haram terrorists and the arrest of 116 informants. And still on security, the Nigerian military says the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji has destroyed an armed bandits camp at Kwayambana Forest in Zamfara State. The Coordinator, Directorate of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Ineche, said the feat was achieved after human intelligence reports established the hideout of the armed bandits and their notorious kingpin, Dogo Gede. The air component destroyed and neutralized several of the armed bandits. Chief of the Air Staff commended the air component of Operation Hadarin Daji for their professionalism. And away from security issues now, the Senate is considering a bill that seeks to establish Department of Local Contents in all ministries, departments and agencies of government. The bill, which has passed second reading, is a major step towards improving non-oil sectors of the Nigerian economy. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
Journalists scampering at the lobby of the National Assembly to speak with the returning Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, after 6 months of being away from the National Assembly.
I was action governor and I'm going to be action senator, so there's no problem. My constituency and Nigerian people, we need to refocus our agenda to them. If you go to church or you go to mosque, just go there, thank God for me.
Inside the Senate chamber, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, on behalf of the Legislative Chamber, welcomed the Senate Chief Whip back.
Chief Whip, you are welcome. We are very grateful to the Almighty God for His blessings. Congratulations.
And then straight to the business of the day, during which the legislators considered a bill that seeks to ensure compliance with local content in the non-oil sectors. Senator Taslim Folarin is the sponsor, while Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari sponsored the National Transport Commission Establishment Bill.
This bill embodies the legal framework to replicate and extend these principles for development of Nigerian content embodied in NOGIC Act 2010 to other sectors of the economy beyond oil and gas.
The development of local content in other sectors outside the oil and gas industry is a practical step that we are taking to ensure that other sectors of the economy, are developed.
The Nigerian engineers that have so far been shortchanged will now have the opportunity to move ahead and technologically advance the country.
That's the main aim of this bill, which is to set up a regulatory body that will promote efficiency in rendering of transportation services in a bid to improve economic growth.
Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
Motions on the need to revive the moribund paper mills in Nigeria by Senator Chris Ekpenyong and the one by Senator Betta Piafi, which drew the attention of the Senate to the urgent need to intervene in the mysterious deaths in Bonny Island, Rivers State, were adopted. Senate received the report of its Committee on Solid Minerals on the diversification of the Nigerian economy. It received President Muhammadu Buhari's request for the confirmation of Justice Monica Donban Mensem as President Court of Appeal. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
Away from the National Assembly now, since the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, announced a new petrol retail price band of 121 Naira 50 kobo to 123 Naira 50 kobo for oil marketers for June 2020, the issue of implementation has become a challenge. Key players say this is not unconnected with the fact that petrol and petroleum products don't just fuel vehicles for movement, but also fuel the economy of oil-producing nations like Nigeria. Lydia Sampson in this report monitors the level of compliance with the price band for the month of June.
Obviously, the continuous reduction of petrol pump price by the federal government is not just a welcome development for motorists, but a financial relief. This, they agree, is due to the balance gained from the usual transaction.
When the price of the crude for the government also reflect it in the retail price, so at least it's encouraging and at least keeping our spirit alive. That the government is thinking about the masses.
This motorist is not alone in his sentiment. Many of them say they're always very happy to spend less to top up their vehicles. They also commended the availability of petroleum products, stressing they are aware of stations with pump integrity and don't mind driving the extra mile to get their money's worth.
The fuel has reduced. We trust God that it will also impact positively on the economy. Normal liter, 123.5 liter. It's okay, no wahala.
We thank God because before we are buying fuel 145. So now the fuel is 123.
For me, I really don't know, but I know there are a lot of conversation around the reduction in price.
And I bought 7,000. In fact, I did not even exhaust the 7,000, and the tank is already filled up.
On the issue of implementation, marketers say it is simply for them to sell between the price band, and in confirmation, most of the petrol stations listed in Abuja Metropolis are selling at 123 naira 50 kobo per litre.
Time there's any change in price, we are forced to change immediately. That's the rule by the company.
Although most of the petrol stations visited within Abuja Metropolis have complied to selling within the new price band, the same cannot be said of the outskirts and even states. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Many thanks, Lydia. Joining us live via Zoom is the Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, Engineer Seriki Awalu, to speak on the role of the DPR in a deregulated downstream sub-sector. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now, from the report just heard, while some marketers have complied with the new petrol price band, many others across Nigeria are yet to. What strategies are you adopting to ensure that consumers of petroleum products are protected as regards pricing?
First, the Department of Petroleum Resources, as you know, we have what we call automated downstream system, whereby we track the petroleum product right from import our crude, then we track it through coastal vessels, then we track it through depot, then we track the distribution up to the selling point. What we do is to ensure that marketers are within the price band. And the price band is nothing but protecting the consumers and as well protecting the business for the marketers. We check quality, quantity, and safety of the product, the facility, as well as people working in that facility is the selling point. So our strategy is to monitor the volume as well as the price band, not only in the urban or peri-urban area, but in every remote corner of this country.
All right, so there's also the issue of quality and quantity of petrol sold at retail level. How does the organization intend to address this challenge?
Well, addressing the challenge, what we have a lot of, for quality, we have octometers, whereby you can instantly check the quality. And for quantity, we have the totalizers in various filling stations, whereby at any point in time, we can get the total volume that we track from the depot into the tank and also get the volume sold. How do we do that? Recently, we got our own short code in which every marketer is supposed to Nigerian Communication Commission. That will enable us to know the quantity delivered and quantity sold within the price band. That we believe will protect the consumers as well as protecting the business as well.
Okay, thank you so much. What is your final word to consumers and to marketers, particularly those who are yet to comply with the new price band? All right, looks like we cannot establish signals with Engineer Awalu anymore, so would leave it at that point. In other news, the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Temipire Silva, will inaugurate additional 5 members to the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board Governing Council, admonished on achieving 70% Nigerian content level in the oil and gas industry by 2027. Gufan Chaji was at the event and now reports.
In the midst of uncertainties around the coronavirus pandemic, this third inaugural meeting of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board is to bring on board new members and explore new vistas that will create stability in the oil market, discover opportunities to further diversify and insulate the economy from external shocks.
I want this goal to be achieved so that we are able to domesticate petroleum refining, domicile manufacturing of industry requirements, extract value from gas, and position Nigerian operators and service providers at the forefront of play in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors of the industry. I want your decisions to be sound, timely, and in tune with the next level agenda of Mr. President, which is largely underpinned by creation of jobs.
We marked the 10th year anniversary of the board in the midst of the pandemic. It afforded us the opportunity to reflect on the events related to the pandemic and what we could do to further deepen our local content practice in the oil and gas industry.
The board members were presented copies of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010. This is also the first time a female member is nominated into the board. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has further received commendation for the nomination of Justice Monica Dogban Mesem as the President of the Court of Appeal. Justice Dogban Mesem is presently working in acting capacity as President of the Court of Appeal. Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State gave the commendation, praising the President for giving women equal opportunity in his administration.
We had a woman who just left, and we have another woman. That is to say the women are coming up. Our prayer is that we'll continue to encourage them so that they can come up too. She's going to come in at the time that a lot of things, a lot of litigations here and there. She has to do everything to restore the image of the judiciary. So that is always my advice to her, to be very free and very fair.
Governor Lalong, who is among the 5 governors in a next committee chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, mandated to advise the federal government on COVID-19 pandemic, was at the presidential villa to exchange views with the Vice President on how to further ease the lockdown. Till date, only 2 deaths from COVID-19 have been recorded in Plateau State. And in politics, National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, says all aspirants for elective positions under the party's platform will be properly and adequately screened to avoid issues of litigation. He disclosed this while inaugurating the screening and appeal committees of the party ahead of Edo State governorship primary election. The chairman says the APC has learned lessons from the last election held in Bayelsa State and will work to avoid past mistakes. Hence, the composition of credible politicians and members of the academia for the critical pre-election duty.
And that is why, as I said earlier, we have tried to learn something positive from that and take maximum precaution to ensure that when we do feed a candidate, if we are going to have issues, those issues should have nothing to do with eligibility or non-eligibility, or with certificate or age or whatever. But the challenge has been, how does a screening committee, as in your own case now, or appeal committee, you may only see what the applicant has provided, and on the basis of what is before you, reach a conclusion one way or the other. But there could be information that an applicant or an aspirant may not have provided, and therefore does not come before you. We decided to introduce what we call claims and objection and display it in our party office.
Professor Jonathan Ayuba is the chairman of the 7-member committee, and Professor Abubakar Fari is the chairman of the 5-member committee. The screening exercise is scheduled to commence on Wednesday, June 10, 2020. Ahead in the news, Nigerians join global voices against racial killings in America. Details in a bit.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Existing Glow customers now enjoy up to 20% more data. Dial *777# to choose a plan. Glow Unlimited.
My mother-in-law and I are like 5 and 6. And our Gile game, it's copy and paste. But when it comes to our favorite milk, we're so different. My mother-in-law loves her Peak-filled milk because it's low in cholesterol. And I love my Peak full cream milk because it's rich and creamy. And that's why I buy both. So choose your Peak today.
Peak. Reach for your Peak.
As a strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19. A corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build your immunity. Stop corruption now. Report all acts of corruption to ICPC on this toll-free number 0800 2255 4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network. The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Welcome back. Number of positive cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria has surpassed 12,000 as global cases rise to 7 million. Adebola Brooks-Lane Sunday has these and more on Global Update.
Globally, 7,249,267 persons have been infected with COVID-19, while 410,068 have died and 3,566,987 persons have recovered. This is from the COVID-19 dashboard of Worldometer at about 7 p.m. local time. The World Health Organization says the spread of coronavirus by asymptomatic patients appears to be rare.
If we actually followed all of the symptomatic cases, isolated those cases, followed the contacts and quarantined those contacts, we would drastically reduce. I would love to be able to give a proportion of how much transmission we would actually stop.
New Zealanders are now enjoying their return to normal life after the last of the country's coronavirus restrictions were removed midnight. And data from Africa Center for Disease Control show that the continent now has 195,875 confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus, 5,334 deaths, and 86,068 recoveries. In Nigeria, the number of coronavirus cases has reached 12,801. Most of these cases, observers say, were spread via community transmission. 361 fatalities have been recorded, while 4,040 persons have recovered from the virus. I am Adebola Brooks-Lane Sunday.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has filed a 7-count charge of extortion against 4 pharmacies and supermarkets for allegedly selling personal hygiene products to their customers above the recommended sale prices. Olabode Arewa reports.
According to government guidelines on COVID-19, supermarkets and pharmacies are considered as outfits offering essential services to the public. However, it has been observed that some of them are said to be taking advantage of the situation to increase prices of their consumables. To stem this tide, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission arraigned owners of 4 of such outfits in court. The suit was, however, unable to proceed due to the absence of some defendants in the matter. The Commission is alleging that the concerned supermarkets and pharmacies in Abuja unduly hiked the prices of their goods.
And so this was the first day up in court, which is usually for an arraignment, and the myriad of issues that the court needed to address. The questions of jurisdiction of the court, which we addressed the court on, and that was resolved.
The Commission, of course, has power to prosecute, and we, on our part, we have made relevant applications, and the court has agreed with us.
Justice Evelyn Maher has ordered the prosecution to ensure that the court processes are served on all the defendants to ensure their appearance in court on the next adjourned date, the 25th of June 2020. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Nigerians must take advantage of the opportunities offered by the internet and other social platforms to overcome the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. This was a submission at a virtual meeting held to prefer solutions to emerging trends for entrepreneurship in the cultural industry, especially in this time of COVID-19. The meeting agrees that the world is indeed becoming a global village, bringing people closely together within the shortest span of time. Hence, the need to capitalize on this development to move the cultural sector forward.
You have to reimagine yourself. You have to forget who you used to be.
You have to stoop to conquer. You have to bite the bullet. You can no longer sit there and call the shots. You have to live according to the dictates of the new normal. You have to be sure that whatever enterprise you're going into must have an element of technology imbibed in it. We had to quickly pull down our website so that we can reconstruct it to fit the COVID protocols.
In other news, a human rights group in Nigeria has urged the United States to practice what it preaches with respect to equality of all in spite of race or religion. This was during a protest at the American Embassy in Nigeria over the killing of an African-American, George Floyd, which has triggered a worldwide protest. Mia Ogidi reports.
Pinned down on the neck for about 9 minutes, and he later died. That is the sad story of a black American, George Floyd. Sadly, that action of just 9 minutes has sparked of international protest. For instance, here in Nigeria, some groups have come to the United States of America Embassy to register their grievance.
No songs, rallies, or demonstrations. Just the small numerical strength in line with the guidelines of the COVID-19 of a gathering not more than 20 persons. But there was a strength in the message with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. With faces expressing anger and with steps determined to reach its destination, they made it to the American Embassy. Expectedly, security beefed up and the protest could not go beyond the security post. But the message goes beyond the barricades.
We call on the United States government to retrace its steps and practice what it preaches across the world by ensuring the protection of the civil rights of blacks and other people of color in America.
5-paragraph protest letter handed over to a representative of the U.S. Embassy, though no response from him. But the protesters advised such brutality signals frosty relationship between the U.S. and other countries and must be addressed. Mia Ogidi, NT News.
Joining us now in the studio to speak on the unprecedented protest following the killing of George Floyd by a police officer in the United States is Minasara Kogo Umar. Many thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right, so what's your opinion of the rally held today in Abuja vis-a-vis what's happening in America?
Yes, constitutionally, the citizens have the right to ventilate their own opinion on whatever is going on, whether domestic or internationally. And United States of America, what is going on right now is eruption of the cankerworm of conspiracy is going on in the United States. United States is professing many things that they are negative about or they are repugnant about. United States of America is claiming to be the champion of human rights, whereas it is the international headquarters of the violation of human rights. It is in the United States you see series of actions and activities against the poor men and the vulnerables. It is the United States of America you will see clear actions against, in favor or in promotion of racism. It is the United States of America that will be promoting ethics of democracy, yet the greatest allies of the United States are not practicing democracy. Most of them are practicing monarchical system of government. Take the case of Saudi Arabia, take the case of United Kingdom, take the case of Spain and many other countries. And it is the same United States of America that will be going and be imposing their policies undemocratically. The case of Iran is there, the case of Iraq is there, the case of Libya is there, the case of even the recent case we have in Africa, the case of Egypt is there, where they overthrew the democratic government and then tried to install a puppet. United States has already been the champion of undemocratic practices and antisocial practices. So it is most unfortunate that in the world we are, the really United Nations and other civilized countries of the world are not seeing the ills of the American style of governance of the world. United States is not the superpower because economically is the most indebted country in the nation and is one of the most insecure countries to live in the world.
Okay, the United States being the most indebted country in the world.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, the hashtag Black Lives Matter protest has gone global with Europe and others taking part. Surprisingly, NGOs and human rights activists in Nigeria are silent.
Yes.
What do you think is responsible?
I am not surprised of that because they are proteges of United States and the Western countries. Most of them are having their arms strings rooted in the United States and other West European countries. Most of them are getting their fundings from there. I have been repeatedly saying that so long we don't regulate the activities of these human rights groups, the activities of these international groups, so long we will continue to have the security of our lives and the sanctity of our sovereignty at danger. Because certainly these people are getting their funding from there, and as much as possible, most of them are spies and allies of these super countries. And that is the reason why they are not ready to come out and speak. I remember the emancipation order signed by President Abraham Lincoln. That was what gave the springboard of even the United Nations organization to take a cue from there to bring about the issue of institutionalizing December 10th, 1948 as the International Human Rights Day, so that there will be equality in men. Blacks are really the harbingers of unity and cohesion. The first black man in the world, Adam, is a black man. And wherever you go, you must recognize and respect the sanctity of the blacks because of their enormous contributions in developing United States and the world at large. So I'm not surprised that the human rights groups are now keeping aloof. They are keeping aloof because they are surrogates of the West superior countries. There should be regulations in the country.
All right, regulations as far as NGOs and human rights groups are concerned in the country. Thank you so much, Minasara Kogo Umar.
It's my pleasure to be with you.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed his deep condolence to the people and government of Burundi over the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza. President Buhari describes late President Nkurunziza as a true patriot who steered his country through turbulent times with wisdom and foresight. President Buhari praised God to grant the people of Burundi and people of President Nkurunziza the fortitude to bear the loss.
When the East African Legislative Assembly...
Pierre Nkurunziza has been in power in Burundi. He was the chairman of the National Council for the Defense of Democracy Forces, the ruling party, until he was elected as president of Burundi. Mr. Nkurunziza's third term began amid political turmoil and had sparked anger and some questioned on its legality. There was failed coup attempt, hundreds of people died in clashes, and tens of thousands fled the country. After a change in the constitution, he was able to run for a further term in last month's election, but he decided to retire and was to be known as the supreme guide to patriotism.
If you know the history of Burundi before 2005, especially from 1993 to 2005, over almost 12 years, it was hectic, it was a bloody, it was inhuman. But at least he came, he saw and he conquered those particular conflict and crisis and established a semblance of a country and a semblance of a nation.
He was admitted in hospital on Saturday after feeling unwell. His condition improved, but on Monday he had cardiac arrest and efforts to revive him were unsuccessful. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
This is the Network News live on NTA. Time to join Jennifer Igwe in Lagos for more reports. Jennifer, it's over to you.
Thank you, Ian. Now, the aviation industry in Nigeria is preparing for life after COVID-19 as the various agencies are already mapping out strategies that will ensure safety of personnel and travelers. Some of the approaches to be adopted are the construction of shields at counters and foot markings for queues to minimize close contact. Michael Olaleye reports.
The coast is now clear for the commencement of domestic flight operations come June 21 at the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos. As the international wing, the emphasis is on how to ensure safety without compromising seamless clearance of passengers now that the world must live with COVID-19.
So the same procedure, the same technique of hand washing is the way you do hand rub.
This is part of the safety tips that must be incorporated into daily operations a reality the aviation industry must face in addition to adhering to the NCDC guidelines.
Effort is being made now. Fixed barrier metal glass that is just only a small opening that where the passports will be collected.
To the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, passenger screening has gone beyond the counters.
They're afraid of COVID. They want to be afraid of immigration. They want to be afraid of police. You know, we just have to ensure that we make our airport friendly.
As one of the frontline agencies at every entry point on land, sea, and ground crossing, the Immigration Service wants officers to demonstrate high level of competence while carrying out their duties.
Every personnel should see their status as an immigration officer as a calling and a platform to help people make positive impact in the society.
It became pertinent to us that the operation in the airport will never be the same as it were because of the experience we had during the evacuation and returnees of migrants.
Issues bordering on sequential arrival of flights to promote social distancing, managing transiting passengers are other areas receiving attention. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
Away from aviation, adopting the new norm of video teleconferencing and marketing will serve as a panacea to the challenge of product sales post-COVID-19. Chairperson, Nigerian Institute of Marketing, Lagos Island Chapter, Nike Olufade, during a visual conference with members, emphasized on digital marketing for better efficacy. Abolade Salami reports.
Prior to COVID-19, marketing or sale of products, either formally or informally, were transacted at live meetings or conferences. This approach, which is gradually being phased out due to the guidelines on the prevention of coronavirus, marketing experts at this virtual conference say has ushered in convenient system known as e-marketing.
It's important for us to have this meeting, for us to have this lecture, so that we can actually know the new normal and what do we do with the new normal? What do we do with these disruptions? What do we do? How do we move ahead? How do we navigate, the new world?
The teleconferencing mode of marketing, practitioners agreed, will provide a better form of online marketing, devoid of challenges such as waste of man hours in transit, save costs of mobility and hotel bills, as well as other expenditure that may accrue during arrangements for live meetings.
Our marketers have to know now that they can no longer sit in their homes or move around to see people. It's all about to see their customers. It's all about having a one-on-one relationship with their customers. And this new normal situation, that is the online situation, makes this possible.
Roles and functions of marketers informed the various discourse. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
That's all from Lagos. Time to join Miriam in Jos for more on the news. Miriam, over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening. You're welcome to Jos. As Nigeria is set to mark Democracy Day and the 5th year of the next level administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, residents in Jos have commended the stability in the democratic process. Abba Abubakar Yakubu sampled the opinions of some elder statesmen and key players in the present political system.
The change of the date for the celebration of Democracy Day in Nigeria from May 29th to June 12th carries a huge significance for Nigerians, as the day remains memorable in Nigeria's post-independence political history, which is viewed too as the freest, fairest, and most peaceful election in the country.
Nigeria is a great country. We have a lot to remember Chief Abiola, and to remember June 12 as a day that something significant happened to our nation.
That June 12th, it was a day when Nigerians united, despite the tribes, religion, or language, even when it was a Muslim ticket.
If there's anything government has done to us, is to be able to give us the right to say what we want to say without fear of being molested, and that is the beauty of democracy.
They also commended achievements of the present administration in its years in office, seen in the execution of several infrastructural and human development projects. In Jos, Abba Abubakar Yakubu, NTA News.
Time now for a commercial break. Do stay with us.
Data plan. All existing Glow customers now enjoy up to 20% more data. Dial *777# to choose a plan. Glow Unlimited.
To operate like this, if we load unlimited data, you go limited immediately.
She's going through a lot right now. Well, that lot that she's going through, she will continue going to that lot. Lot test.
After all this time, the tailoring suit.
Oh, what is your now?
How much would you like me to pay you monthly?
The place that you are working, how much are they paying you there?
It's like you don't need this job.
I need it well.
I will still stand. I will still stand on the day that I finally wear my colors of pride, when the most prolific stars rise to look adversaries in the eye, putting them in their place. When the Spanish Armada set sail once again to take over the rough seas, the moment of excellent surprises, remarkable magic, unshakable dominance. Yes, I will still stand. When my passion melts away all the uncertainties, when I get reacquainted with my heroes, I will still stand. Get ready for the return of live sports only on GoTV. Stay connected or reconnect to GoTV, and we will give you an upgrade to the next package. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Now believe this Koroti. You know, if you touch black man, if you like, gather the whole Niger, come together, make the cup. Nothing.
Which one you want?
Give me V&D.
I beg, get small pieces.
How much you want to give him?
Give me 200. Take your change now. You don't want your changes.
My people, this coronavirus, na serious matter. May una wash una hands regularly. Come use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you no see water, wash your hand. Make una sit down for house. You see this virus, so e no get leg. Now we dey waka kurukere. No waka around, make the virus for die. No forget, say, the betterment of our people. Now for your handy day.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Thank you for staying. The Anchor Borrowers scheme of the Central Bank of Nigeria is targeting 1.6 million farmers across 10 agricultural commodities for funding this year. The latest beneficiaries are cotton farmers in the FCT. Benny Adams reports.
Cotton stands out as one of the most important fiber material for Nigeria's textile industry. The production of this cash crop in Nigeria suffered a setback that got the industry into near extinction, with a paltry 25% textile factories operating at below 20% of their installed capacities, with a joint workforce of less than 20,000 people as at 2018. To change this narrative, the Central Bank of Nigeria, through one of its intervention programs, that is the Anko Borrowers Program, is fixing the cotton value chain, which begins with cultivation. The event here today is a flag off of the distribution of cotton seeds, insecticides and pesticides to kickstart the farming season.
Giwa David and Musa Isa were raised by cotton farmers and are walking the business path of their late parents. Like every cash crop, finance is essential to thrive in this trade. So, this assistance from the federal government comes as a first and an extra motivation to move on.
We have been briefed, we have been trained, and as clusters, we are going to work as a team.
They are among a cluster of farmers enjoying the 5% interest rate on CBN loans, discounted from 9% as a result of the impact of COVID-19 on the economy.
Based on the CBN intervention in 2019, all the textile was self-sufficient. What you've actually done is that you've taken out over 264,000 family out of poverty line.
As all they need to do is to farm the cotton. The GINAs that are the processors of the raw material, that's seed cotton we call it from the farm, will now process it into cotton lint. CBN has also supported them.
The CBN is funding the entire cotton value chain and supporting textile manufacturers to refit, retool, and upgrade their factories for production of high-quality textiles for local and export markets and generate employment opportunities. Benny Adams, NTA News.
The long-anticipated return of internally displaced persons across camps to their states of origin in the country will soon come to fruition as the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons reveals plans to develop IDP's city on the proposed land mass of 50 hectares each in states affected by insurgency, banditry and other security challenges. Abubakar Usman Nakwanga reports.
The plight of internally displaced persons across camps in the country, among other challenges, prompted the resettlement of IDPs to their domains. But this is not coming without skill development facilitated by National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons across IDP camps to assist them acquire trades that will generate employment and improve family economy.
We have also received some commitments from some state governors, namely Katsina, Borno, Adamawa, and lately Zamfara states. They have agreed to grant us 50 hectares of land to build resettlement city that will accommodate 500 households.
These women will make masks for the whole IDP population and refugee population in Nigeria, so that's our ambition. And as they're making it, they're earning a living, so it's a livelihood project.
An empowerment center, Durimi, is leveraging on support of the Commission to produce face masks for IDPs and to meet market demand.
It's been very encouraging, and we're honestly moved by the great support we are receiving from the Commission.
Adiza Yakubu is the representative of hundreds of women in the camp and show appreciation to the Commission for providing platform to make best use of their stay.
The initiative, which came up barely 4 months after the index case of COVID-19, is geared towards increasing the capacity of vulnerable women to self-employed enterprises beyond the pandemic. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Nakwanga, NTA News.
Let's take a quick break now. The news returns shortly.
5 years of environmental remediation under President Buhari. This week on NTA Tuesday Live, how far with the Ogoni cleanup, Great Green Wall, coastal and soil erosion, and water hyacinth? What are the other interventions and strategies in tackling environmental challenges? Join us at 10:30 p.m. for answers and more on NTA Tuesday Live. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the government and people of Benue State over the death of Abubakar Tsav, a former commissioner of police in Lagos State. President Buhari, who acknowledges the impactful wise counsel of Tsav to leaders at state and national levels on good governance, also affirms that with sadness, Abubakar Tsav's vociferous voice on national security operations, which he says will be surely missed. The president prays for the repose of his soul and urges the family to find strength in his contributions to humanity. Time for sports. Nasarawa State